Hey everybody, this is Mr. Storm. All right, so you're going to need to finish your original game. I'm looking for a couple of levels here. I want a main opening screen like this, and at least one easy level and maybe one more difficult level. So I'm going to show you what your final project should maybe look like before you turn it in. And I'll talk you through some of the changes that I've made to the program, or to mine at least, and show you some of the new assets that I've given you. So first thing you'll notice is that there's a new scene in this project. Now you should have created this scene when you did the quiz for user interface. A couple weeks ago, we were learning user interface. I asked you to build a menu, a main menu system for your game, and then take a screenshot. You should have something that kind of looks like this. Now, you're going to have a new script here called UI controller. This UI controller script, it handles our play game button, and then in our level, it handles our quit button, allows us to actually quit the game. So the system basically works like this. You've got your user interface, you click play, and it takes you into the game. Now, before we get into the first level, there's a lot going on there. I do want to point out that there is a new player controller script that's a bit more robust and adds a couple of things that you're going to need throughout the game here. So let's see. What should we... Yeah, let's go on to the first level. So I'm going to go to scenes here and open up level 1. So with level 1, I've added a user interface, a very simple user interface. Basically, this will update with the collectibles, the amount of collectibles that you've found in the level. And that is, handled by the script. And then you have a quit button over here. And that quit button, remember, you're going to want to indicate that you're using the user interface controller script on the event system. And you're going to want to indicate that you're using the quit method there. And that will quit the game. Now, if you test this out and you hit the quit button and nothing happens, don't worry. It won't actually quit the game when you're in play mode, but when you build your project and publish it, then you'll be able to quit the game. Okay, let's take a look at what we have here. So I've added a couple of gloop pickups, some pickups here in the game. Now notice that they are prefabs, and they're all tagged with this pickup tag, right? You're going to have to create a pickup tag and tag these with a pickup tag. And they have colliders that are set to triggers, so they have trigger colliders around them. That allows me as a player to be able to bump into them and collect them, and it will update the score. It's also going to check to see if we've collected everything before we hit the end of the level. Let's talk about the end of the level. So I created an empty game object called end level. Notice it's just an empty game object. And I've added a trigger. I've added a box collider with a trigger around it. And I just kind of put it where I want the end of my level to be. I've also tagged it with end of level. That's very important. Capital E, N, D, lowercase o, F, capital L, E, V, E, L. Spell it exactly that way. Spell your tag that way, and make sure it's tagged properly because the script is looking for that specifically. Okay, so end of level. Let's talk about the sound here. So if we take a look at the player here, you can see that there are a couple of new things that I've added to the player script. For example, I've added a walk, jump, and collect sound option. And I've updated and I've added a pickup counter. This pickup counter is basically the text that counts your pickups in your user interface. So you just drag that straight over. These three are individual audio sources with different clips attached to them. The walk clip is going to be set to loop. Make sure it's not set to play on awake. The jump and the collect are not going to be set to loop. And I just brought in some sound effects here. I have a walk, jump, and collect sound effect. And you can choose whatever, you can use whatever sound effects you want. And essentially, this just allows my script to play those sound effects at the appropriate times. Now, how did I get my background music to play? Well, easy. I went to my main camera. I added an audio source. I dropped in the music for the background music there. I set it to play on awake, and I set it to loop. All right. So the overall effect looks something like this. I have my music playing in the background. When I walk, you can hear the squishy sound. That's my walking sound. When I jump, you can hear the jump. And when I collect collectibles, you can hear me collecting the collectibles. Now that I have collected all of the collectibles for the level, if I hit the end, I should be able to go to the next level, which I do, which I haven't built this next level yet. There's no main character in the scene yet. And so, it just goes to a blank screen. But that's essentially the game. Okay. Now, once I get to this point where one level is working exactly the way you want it to, your sound effects are playing, your music, as a matter of fact, that music was a bit loud. I'm going to come in here and change the volume. I'm going to drop it to like 0.3. Once your music sounds good, your sound effects sound good, your user interface is updating properly, you can move your character, you can interact with bad guys in the scene, and you can move to the next level once you've collected all the collectibles. Then build a harder level, a more difficult level, right? So for me, I would build level 2. I would go into level 2. Yep, I want to save. And I would start building onto level 2 and adding collectibles throughout the scene and adding bad guys in here and making it a little bit more difficult, okay? So that's pretty much it. I mean, there's a lot to do. You have to start with a main menu and build that out. If you haven't done so already, then you have to, add your sound effects and your user interface and all that. But once you're done with one level, it'll be super easy to just build out every level that you want. Now, the minimum is 2 levels. Minimum 2 levels. But you can build as many levels as you want. I'm actually going to finish building this game out, and I think it's like a total of 8 or 9 levels. So I'm going to finish building this level, or this whole game, so that you can see what the final product might look like. But have fun with this. This is completely 100% your creation, right? You did all the artwork, you found all the sound effects, you came up with the storyline. It's 100% you, right? I just gave you the scripts and taught you how to do it. But this is your game. You can actually show this off to somebody and say, hey, look, I built this. I made this from scratch. So be proud of that. Be excited about that. Yeah. When you're done, I want you to make a video explaining your game, showing me how it plays, and I want you to also upload your game files. Well, your build, actually. I want you to upload your build. And so in order to upload the build, you want to go to File, Build Settings. You want to make sure all of the scenes that you're going to add in your build are in the build scenes, the scenes in build. You might want to go into player settings and mess around with this stuff, like change your icon to maybe a picture of your main character or a collectible from your game, something that's, makes it look good. Come in here and play around. You can also change the splash screen here. You can add a new splash screen. You can change some effects of the splash screen. It's pretty cool. Once you're happy with all of those options, then you're going to want to click Build or Build and Run. Either way, it doesn't matter. When you click Build, it's going to ask you, where do you want to save this build? It's incredibly important that you follow these steps exactly. I want you to go to either your desktop or a place where you have a file or a folder that you can save it into, or a place no one's going to mess with your stuff, right? So I'm just going to go to desktop. You want to right click, go to new, create a new folder and call this, my game build or gloop build, whatever you've called your game. All right. And then you want to indicate that is the empty folder. That empty folder is where you're going to put your build. Select that folder. And then all of your files will be built, put into that folder. That folder itself, you can put it on a flash drive, and you can give your friend a flash drive and say, hey, go ahead and play my game. And he can just double click on the executable file and play your game. that folder, you can zip it and then turn it in on Canvas. So I want both. I want a video of you explaining your game and showing me that it plays, and I want your actual build files. Now, the reason why I want your actual build files is because some of these that are good, I'm probably going to put somewhere special where people can get them and play them. Maybe I'll build like a UMA arcade or something like that, and we can play them. So I want your build. I want to actually have your game. But the video is what I'm really grading. Okay. Perfect. That's it. Get to work, get started. You have a lot of work to do, and let's finish this class strong, and I'll see you in game development 2.